And it looks like we are live. Back on the old soapbox here with Austin Malleolo. I hope everyone's doing well, as they can be in the days where we are and the times that we're in. I know we're all in different scenarios and places around the world. So, I do think it's important just to, take a moment. And, for me, it's I want to be able to stay in my lane and just kind of talk about what I'm always passionate about, which is coaching and fitness. I think a lot of the podcasts over the past probably 4 months, we've talked a lot about current events and then and how it relates to fitness and CrossFit and business. So I do, but I do want to hop on a little soapbox here, and it's been on the top of mind of just a few things. And I think the biggest, it's a basic argument that sort of tends to happen. It comes up a good amount of going hard and intensity and all this other stuff. And I definitely think I see this trend of oftentimes people forgetting what it means when someone talks about intensity and difficulty of workouts. And I think let's just start with a basic understanding of adaptation and how it relates to you. Okay. And it's not even in the fitness world, really, it's in anything, but we'll equate it to just what that looks like. And so we have a stressor, and then that stressor, if it is challenging enough, across a duration that can actually make an impact on the system, you'll see an adaptation. So you have a stimulus and you have an adaptation. And basically, simply put, is that you need to push to a level that you're not accustomed to, that you're not adapted to, in order to garner new adaptation. In order to do that, it's going to be uncomfortable because you have to push past that threshold. At the CrossFit Level 1 certificate course, we talk about threshold training, right? Where you have to push an athlete to a threshold a little bit beyond. Things start to wobble, right? Fall apart. You need to back it up, refine, and work on whatever started to break down in order to keep pushing out, right? So in order to get better at anything, so take walking. If you walk consistently, you are an active person just from moving from point A to point B. If you commute and you have to walk between the train and your building or whatever it might be, walking for the most part is going to do nothing for your increase of fitness. You're maintaining that level. So when people are like, well, walking's good for you, it's like, well, what are we comparing it to? Right? Is it better than sitting on the couch doing nothing? Yes. But again, I don't think that that's the right way to look at it. Is walking a form of exercise? Yes. But what is walking? Walking is a mode of transportation going from point A to point B. So once you're good at that, you need to move faster. Maybe you need to walk a little quicker. And maybe it turns into running. Because in turn, you'll start to get an adaptation. You have to push the thresholds out. And this is no different when it comes to anything, right? And this is why, at the level 1, we talked about intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with maximizing the rate of return on favorable adaptations. Intensity gives you the good stuff. So if intensity gives you the results, right, then how, and let's just pause right there. It's like, I don't want to go into this whole conversation of technique versus intensity, but yes, for the basic person, understand that the better you move with more technical proficiency, the faster you can move because you're more efficient, you have less wasted effort, you put your body in the right positions at the right time. You can therefore move heavier weights. You can move a larger load, a longer distance quickly. You can do all that. So we're not negating the importance of moving well and practice and all that, and that's part of the deal. Unfortunately, you can't have one or the other without proper optimizing. What I mean by that is, if all you worry about is how well you move and you're never moving quickly or heavy, you're really not going to get any results. If all you worry about is how fast you go, obviously you're probably going to get injured, or your ceiling's going to be so low at some point that you're not going to be able to push through. Got to balance it. Check. Moving on from that. Now, to understand that, yes, in order to garner real adaptation, it sucks. It's going to hurt. And when people are like, you don't need to hurt, it's like, of course, I'm not talking about injury pain, right? And for those that think that's the case, for lack of a better put it, get your head out of your ass and stop looking for a fight. What it means when someone says you got to hurt, it means you have to be uncomfortable. Now, I get it. For the newer athlete, uncomfortability within movement and pain sometimes is the same thing, right? My back hurts. Well, does it hurt or is it sore? Are you utilizing the muscles to stabilize your midline, your erectors specifically on either side of your spine? And are they sore from you actually stabilizing through functional movements? Because that's going to happen. It's like funny how we oftentimes the back, your back has muscles in it too. But oftentimes if if your legs are sore, your shoulders are I got a good workout. The minute it goes to an area that we're a little nervous about or we're ignorant on, which is okay, we get very scared. Understand that pain and is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a pain-free range of motion. So we go to that. It's got to be uncomfortable or else you're just going to get low to mediocre results. And I tell you this because I speak from experience. I'm around some of the fittest people in the world and also I'm also a part of gyms where people are not the fittest in the world, but my gosh, did they see results. And what do we do that's different from any other gym? We go hard, but we make sure they move well. People come from all around the world to come to the gym for a coach development program. They visit, and that's the biggest thing they say is wow, the intensity is really high here. It's yeah, because one, we scale effectively so that the weights and loadings and scaling options get the stimulus for everyone. That's important. And then two, they move well enough for them to move at that speed or move at those loads to get to that point. So if you want results, you got to hurt. Now, optimize your results. Yes. Are you going to get a little better? Yeah. Moderate intensity will yield moderate results. But if you go at moderate intensity for a long, long period of time, you're just it's like walking, right? Every time if you walk and this is why I think, it's like bringing it back to some time relevance. It's really hard sometimes for people to do this on their own. CrossFit started in a garage gym concept. It had a blog for people to follow, and then gyms really started popping up because it's very difficult to go to the place that's challenging, that's uncomfortable, to garner that adaptation. You need other people to help you. You want to be inspired by others. You need to have the motivation. The biggest fallacy is people think it's competitive. There's a level of competition, yes, but it's more or less you're with people. When I work out with my buddies, now it's more over Zoom at 5 a.m., I push harder when I'm with them. Of course, I want to hang with them because it's motivating. And for me, right? And that doesn't have to be the case for everyone, but for me, it's absolutely the case. I know a lot of people that work out alone and but what's unique is that the people that can do that also really enjoy working out with people, or there's an immense amount of community from communication before or after workouts, almost holding accountability of what you did. Looking for, and that's why online programming, it's like why myself, Spencer Hendel, James Hobart, Travis Herbenek, and Ruben, we work so hard on making sure the stimulus and all the information is there. So if you're doing this programming, you can hopefully achieve it to the best of your ability and go to that dark place. And also, it's what bang for your buck, right? Don't get me wrong. Yes, we would love to be able to do all these other things. And it's when people are oh, it's smart. It's it's, this or that. It's you could sit there and work on your positioning and work on this or that. But the reality is if you have 1 hour a day, what are you doing? And, how much time are you going to spend on that? It's and I have a really, really hard time arguing against CrossFit's methodology, constantly varied functional movements, executed at high intensity, because from when it certainly comes to a budget of time, because I know what I can get done in an hour from an intensity perspective and from a workout perspective, and and I'm still I'm still getting results, and quite frankly, I know this can come off as somewhat maybe, I don't know, controversial, but I'll say it, is that I've yet to find anyone doing any other program other than CrossFit that doesn't really see the results that I see in CrossFit. You're not getting them. Now, I do see people that get amazing results in other programs, but I will tell you that whatever they're doing something special. they're working harder and they're layering intensity way higher than other people. They're leveraging that intensity piece and that's why they're seeing the results. But I would also argue it's like, from a fitness perspective, from a competency perspective, anyone, like, the unique thing is that variance allows you to have adaptation everywhere. It's like, well, where my people can go run a mile, pretty quickly, they can back squat, they can deadlift, they can clean, they can get upside down, they can walk on their hands, they have mobility and flexibility, they have all this stuff. But we're also not spending so much time. Like, the reality is people want to get fit, they want to look good naked, they want to have functional capacity, but it's not their main focus. Right? So when people are like, well, this is how you do it, and they lay out this whole like metric, I'm like, that's just stupid. That's unrealistic. And let's pull it back. I'm not saying or knocking other fitness programs. I'm just saying what's the most efficient from what I've seen. But if someone's like, I don't like it, I don't want to do it, then there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's another thing. That's the reason why everyone in the world doesn't do CrossFit, because one, some people just don't want to do it, or they don't like it, or they like something more. But also, it's really hard work. It's really hard work. And hard work sucks. I mean, intensity sucks. It hurts. So yeah, you gotta hurt in a workout. You gotta go to a dark place to see adaptation. And I know that because I've never been, and just for me personally, I've never been that good at CrossFit innately. I've had to just work hard. And gosh, it's uncomfortable. And I'm scared. I'm nervous and scared to do workouts. But if you want to see results, you got to go to the dark place. Now, there's a lot of factors that allow you to do that, from quality of movement, from proper loading and scaling and stimulus and all that good stuff. So, and that's a coach's job. A coach's job is to shepherd that journey. But yeah, we need to, and then teaching intensity is hard, and for some it takes years, for some it takes months or days. Sometimes you got to ratchet it back, right, depending on the athlete. But I do think that's something that's important, is that the coach's job is to manage that threshold. And that's the beauty of the group environment. And also the beauty of this stuff is that functional movements are inherently safe. Check. And doing something opposed to nothing, awesome. So that's why you can come into the gym and jump into a class and with relative ease, if you're an effective coach, teach them how to move safely, effectively, efficiently. There also doesn't need to be a rush, right? Because I think there's something that we've learned in the past 4 months, is that you can get so much fitness with light loading to no loading to your body weight stuff. And you can work a lot of practice stuff. I mean, you have a broomstick, you can work on your positioning for your Olympic lifts. The hardest thing to do is potentially, hanging from a pull-up bar and bars and stuff like that. But, I do think that it's something to remind yourself that if you want to get better, you got to hurt, you got to be uncomfortable. And I would say that most people, it's not a physical limitation, it's a psychological limitation. It's very, very challenging for people to do that. And also remember, we scale for physical and psychological tolerances, which means there are days where you shouldn't be going that hard. And if your programming is effective, every day isn't burn it to the ground, every day isn't super long, it's varied. So there, in and of itself, you're going to have different types of that feeling. You're going to have a 3 or 4 minute workout, a 10-minute workout, a 20-minute workout with all different things. And also, depending on your proficiency at those movements or lack thereof, the intensity is going to be different. Yes, I program for the hand plan, but I would also encourage you to check out CrossFit.com, and you'll see some workouts that are like, man, this is different, or the intensity might be really low. Yeah, by design. And the beautiful thing is, the fitter that you get, which also, and by our definition of fitness, the more things that you can do, the more weight, the faster, all that good stuff. The intensity can happen in higher skill things because you can do them, right? Muscle ups is a good example. In the beginning, muscle ups slow a lot of us down if you have them. They're challenging and they're a perishable skill. As you get fitter, you can do higher rep muscle ups. So it's like you unlock levels of fitness and you unlock opportunities for intensity. But also remember, higher skill movements are by the nature going to slow you down anyway, so you have to practice them. That's the beauty of it, right? But that's also why we teach strict before kip, right? So we should do strict pull-ups before kipping, strict muscle-ups before kipping muscle-ups, handstand push-ups, all that good stuff, because it's going to slow you down, it's going to challenge you, it's also not going to allow you to get ahead of yourself. So again, yes, you got to hurt in order to see results. But that doesn't mean be an idiot, right? And as a coach, that's your job, because I would be worried if people didn't want to be idiots. I like people that want to bite off more than they can chew, because that's human nature, right? And that's okay. We just ratchet them back a little bit, or we put the guardrails on, the bumpers on, and we let them rip roar once in a while. So if someone asks you, the whole thing of like, pain is weakness leaving the body, that's maybe a little aggressive, but what does that mean? It's not pain from the sense of like my knee hurts or whatever it is. I got to push through. It's that, it's the lactic acid in nerdy coach speak. The heart rate's really high, but like, again, what is holding you back? Usually it's uncomfortable, right? It's hard, but you can keep moving if you want. And you make a psychological push through. And that's why doing things, whether, whatever it might be, like I did the episode, hard people do hard shit, right? Like you just got to get it done. And because why stop? It's like, I think I heard Josh Bridges say this once, like, running's great because you can always go a little faster or go a little longer. It's like, and obviously there are some caveats to that, but I think that's great. It's like, push a little harder and see what happens. So I wanted to give that to you guys because, I've been doing this a long time, and, the nice thing is fitness doesn't really change. You change, your life changes, and that's okay. But hard work gets results anywhere. But also the smarter that you are, and more efficient you are, you can work. So you have two options too. So it's like you can work harder, work more, right? So like the elite athletes at the CrossFit Games, they're efficient. They can move faster. They can move heavier weights. They put their body in the right position at the right time, but they also train a lot more, right? Because they unlock that ability to, because they're moving well, all this good stuff. But, if you do this in your life, it allows you also to get your bang for your buck in a much shorter period of time, which is really cool. You don't need to work out 4 or 5 times a day. But, for me, if I train in an hour, I can hit 2 sessions that I know most people aren't able to do. But, I've earned that right because of the level of capacity that I've developed, but also my quality of movement, right? And anyone can get there. So there's a lot of benefit to that. That the better that you move and you check all these boxes along that route, you see some pretty cool stuff. But if you really want to piss people off, you tell maybe at like the family dinner table, when we're allowed to have that again, hopefully come holiday season, and you just tell them that walking is doing no good for you if you've done walking, right? It's like, well, I walk every day. It's really good for me. It's like, well, it's really not, it's not bad for you, but I don't think it's doing anything good for you. You got to do something more. It's like, if you're going to a group fitness class and you're doing 3 back to back to back, you're probably wasting your time, right? Just take one and go a lot harder. You probably get way more bang for your buck and you do something more. But if you do it and you're like, well, it's my favorite things to do, then keep doing it, right? Let's not be disillusioned, and there's nothing wrong with that. We don't want to put our beliefs and our lives on other people. Fitness doesn't really change. Your life changes. But here's what doesn't change: how you get results. Hard work. And again, if you combine talent, great. You have it your own, but you can be learned through hard work and being smart. With that, some really cool things happen, whether you're in the workplace, whether you're in fitness, even your relationship, okay? It's hard. It's exhausting. The biggest thing is you have to keep learning and evolving. The minute you think you have it all figured out or you get complacent, usually bad things happen. So, 20 minutes, we're right about there. Let's keep cranking. Let's work hard. Have fun. Intensity.